My guest today is Meina Zhou. Meina is a crypto podcaster. She's also the co-founder and CEO at Nativefy. She's a data scientist. I guess that makes her a very busy woman. But welcome to the show, Meina.
Yes, exactly. You have a very accurate description, a very busy woman. Thank you for featuring me on the show. Really appreciate to be here.
It is a pleasure. Look, we'll do what we do at the beginning of the show, Maina. It would be great if you could please introduce yourself. Love to hear a little bit of your personal and professional backstory, a little bit about who you are and what you've been doing in the lead up to co-founding Native.
Hello, everyone. My name is Meina. Very glad to be here. My personal journey is actually very interesting, I would say. As Andy already briefly mentioned, I actually tapped into a lot of different areas, or I should say industry. And to be honest, right, compared to most of the crypto founders, I'm actually a very fairly new joiner in the crypto space. Before the end of 2021, I was mainly focused on data science. I was and has been a data scientist for almost 7 or 8 years before year 2021. I was mainly working with different consulting firms to deliver customized end-to-end data science solutions to solve different business problems across industries such as financial services, marketing, technology, and pharmaceutical. Um, and so my background is fairly technical, I would say. I used to manage large global data science teams with a full stack of like engineers, data analysts, as well as together working with the business teams to essentially deliver the best results and applications. And before the data science career, of course, I studied mathematics, economics, and a little bit marketing and business. So it's really the different areas of knowledge that form the current version of me today. And how I joined crypto, it was really back at the end of 2021. That's the first time I heard about the concept of Bitcoin and Ethereum through a friend's dinner. And the same night, because I was so fascinated, I bought my first Bitcoin. I also bought several Ethereum because I was so believed in the blockchain ethos. And I thought to myself, oh, this is definitely an uprising industry that I definitely need to tap into. And after learning a little bit more about the crypto industry for several months, then I decided to start my own podcast channel back in May 2022, where I interviewed a lot of founders, investors, artists, mainly for two purposes. First is really I want to learn about the industry. I want to know what top builders and investors they are building, what they believe in, right? What do they see in this industry that are so special? What are waiting for us to build in this industry? Second is to build up the foundation, right? Build my connections, knowing the right peoples, and essentially figuring out what can I contribute to the space. And then it was the end of 2022, I start to build native. So that's like a general timeline of how my personal journey has transformed. But I think like none of those steps could be skipped.
Yes, indeed. Well, no, thank you, Maina. That makes sense. So, understand where we are then. So, it'd be good, I think, if you could describe a little bit about what native is, and I guess kind of what the original vision was, whether that is still true. I guess the problem that you're trying to solve, and then we can go from there. But yeah, native.
Yes, I mean, for today, Native's vision is we are building the omni-chain programmable liquidity hub on all networks for Web3. But really, the original of the idea naturally come from the need in the market for better pricing mechanisms than what AMMs offers, right? Because what AMM offers is inaccurate pricing, which leads to retail users losing money for each of those transactions. They suffer severely from those MEV attacks. And then we started to tackle this first issue, which is a pricing inaccuracy issue by introducing the first version of native where we kind of aggregate the liquidity sources from both AMM sources and PMM sources. And essentially through our unified liquidity layer, which is our API router, we supply that liquidity to different aggregators, solvers, and projects so that they can utilize those liquidities within 5 minutes as long as they utilize our SDK. But over the last 1.5 years, when we are developing it, I realized it's not just about the inaccuracies of the pricing mechanism. Liquidity has another severe issue in Web3 is the liquidity fragmentation issues. We have so many blockchains, we have so many different protocols, and all those retail users, liquidity providers, they need to make a choice. Okay, where am I going to park my liquidity to, right? And when those supply side of the liquidity is so fragmented, it also leads to very low capital utilization rate. And essentially those users, they are not getting good yields from how they are parking their money. So how do we make the most capital efficient liquidity from both the supply side as well as the demand side of the user has become the core of our business problem. And over the last 1.5 years, we have developed total like 3 products, or we should say like 3 product features at Native to tackle those problems and essentially form the flywheel for our unified liquidity layer.
Yeah, very well explained. So, well, let's talk about some of those different aspects of what you guys are building with Native. So, you can see you kind of got like different products, right? There's Aqua for liquidity providers, I guess, yeah, for retail users, as you've explained. You've got Native X, sorry, for traders. Yeah, you've got different endpoints as well for market makers and some other features as well. So I don't know how do you want to approach this, but just kind of, I guess Aqua's the main one, right? But we can talk through some of them in turn if you like.
Sure. I mean, I think I understand like because we build 3 products and we name them all kind of differently, so it has like caused some confusions for not only the retail users but also the business partners. So actually, while we are filming this podcast, we are already undergoing a product unification process. Essentially, we are bringing every single product into the same umbrella under Native. So Aqua is not going to be called Aqua anymore. It will be called something like Native Earn or Native something. That name specifically, we haven't come to like a final name yet. But essentially, the 3 product lines will be first, which is Native Swap, where retail users, traders, they can come directly go to Native to swap. Second will be the Native Lending and Borrowing, where the liquidity providers, they can go directly to that page to lend and borrow funds, and where on the back end, like market makers, they will be utilizing the funds inside the pool to do credit-based trading. And then the third product, which is still in the building, is essentially like how do we connecting all those liquidity across different chains, meaning it's like the cross-chain functionality. But we are doing so different than any other protocols. So we are still like deciding a very cool name for that. But there were like the original one, which we mentioned is the B2B version, where like aggregators, solvers, right? They are the demand side of liquidity, where they just plug into our API, call our API, query for the best price for each of those token pairs whenever a user come directly to their website or their application to swap. So they are actually like calling us underlying. Or on the other side is like the market makers. They will be like providing the PMM pricing through the router. So that's like B2B side is like we serve both the supply and the demand side of the liquidity, and it will always be like this. But the coordinative.org website will be more catered to a retail user perspective. And that is aligned with our next phase of marketing goal, because the first phase we already tackled most of the B2B side of things, where like we get connected to leading aggregators, leading market makers, leading solvers. And next phase is mass adoption. How do we serve the retail users better, no matter you are a trader or a liquidity provider?
Yeah, got it. Thank you, Meina. So yeah, I'm starting to understand it a bit better now. So the idea is it's really about market efficiency, right? And creating this sustainable liquidity flywheel that you've described. So LPs are attracted to supply that liquidity by getting some organic yields that come from the market makers. And then you've talked about how this is kind of a best of both worlds scenario, right? So talk about that. So like, I guess that's, LPs can face less risk of impermanent loss, but market makers, there are advantages for them as well. So just talk through that however you want, what the advantages are for both LPs and market makers.
Sure. I think truly to form your question is like where do we position us, or what are the difference we're bringing to the market, right? Because I think we we are such a hybrid product that like I don't think we can be compared to like 100% compared to any product. For example, Uniswap or Aave, right? You can say, oh, we have the DEX functionality as Uniswap. We also have the lending and borrowing function as Compound Aave. But truly, we are an innovative hybrid. Not innovative because like we just put those two functions on our website. It's actually because the swap and lending and borrowing function are actually interconnected, which none of the existing products are enabling the user to, right? When, for example, when liquidity providers, they go to Uniswap, yes, they are providing the liquidity for the users to essentially make transactions on, but the liquidity providers, essentially, they are suffering hugely from impermanent loss. Whatever they are supplying, they need to supply a token pair, right? If they want to supply to, let's say, WebEase to USDC, they need to supply the two tokens altogether with a ratio. But when they withdraw it, they are not necessarily withdrawing the same amount of WebEase and USDC. It will be dependent on the specific time whenever they withdraw that liquidity pair. So they are meant to suffer from impermanent loss. On the other side, if you go to, let's say, supply assets to a lending and borrowing protocol, those assets are primarily being used for retail users borrowing over collateralized against that pool. So your capital utilization rate for inside the lending and borrowing pool is capped to be 100%. And usually it's because it's over collateralized. So the max LTV is usually like 70% or 80% or 60%, even lower. So the low capital utilization rate will lead to a pretty low yield for those liquidity providers. And why we are so special is, first, we allow the liquidity providers to do the lending and borrowing just exactly similar to Compound Aave, single token supply and borrow without impermanent loss. But whatever they deposit into the pool is actually being utilized by the market makers to do credit-based trading, credit-based settlement. So that means the assets inside the pool, the capital utilization rate is really, really high. Now we just did our testing for the product, right? The interconnecteds of the lending and borrowing plus swap on zkLink, and daily the average capital utilization rate is at least 300%, and on a good day it could be like 500% to 600%. And this kind of capital utilization is not being seen on any other lending and borrowing protocol or DEXs. If you want to crunch some numbers, I think like for utilization rate, how we calculate here is you use your daily trading volume to divide by the TVL, right? So if we apply the same mathematics to Uniswap V2, it usually is daily 10% to 20%. Uniswap V3 could be 40% to 60%. That's it. That's the largest AMM DEX in crypto. And I do believe that when native we deployed the new like lending and borrowing plus swapping functionality, which is essentially our liquidity, which is essentially our peer-to PMM liquidity provisioning engine onto different ecosystems such as Ethereum, Arbitrum, and Mantle. We gonna show the world or the retail users how capital efficient we are, and they will enjoy unexpected high and sustainable yield coming from native liquidity engine.
Fantastic. And just to explain what chains Native is compatible with at the moment, and how will that change in the future, Meina?
Yeah, the swap functionality is currently live on 10 chains. You have most of the EVM compatible chains, Ethereum, BNB, Arbitrum, Mantle, Polygon, the list goes on, right? And then for the lend and borrowing or native earn, it's currently just finished the testing phase on zk-Link Nova. And now we are currently planning the official deployment on Ethereum, Arbitrum, Mantle, and BNB chain, which we should expect the completion of the deployment by the end of this month. And
And
yeah,
yeah, and what can you share in terms of, I don't know, any user metrics that you want to talk to, like, volume and so on, that yeah, stand out for Native, and where you're at the moment, and how we see that progressing.
sure. The overall volume, I think, as a new protocol, I mean, Native first went live back in April 2023. So it has been a year now, and we have already powered a little bit over 2.9 billion in terms of spot trading, with I think 9 million user transactions. And every day, I think the users who come directly to Native to trade, right? I'm not talking about the transaction volume that comes from other aggregators. I'm talking about users directly come to Native because they trust us. Is around like 50K users every day, which if you compare to like major leading DEXs, this is also a very decent traction. And then, as I said, our next phase of the product, as well as the focus as a team, is definitely to improve the user experience for the retail users, so that we attract more traders, liquidity providers to Native. So we do look forward to that, and I think all those metrics will be increased significantly.
Yeah, makes sense. I saw you had this a tweet, Meina, which I thought was a really good way to think about DeFi, and the kind of kind of products that you guys are building. Lots of other teams are as well. But you talked about how, if you envision the path from order flow to liquidity as a network structure instead of a linear structure, that's a good way to think about things, because it means, wherever there is those market inefficiencies, as long as you're fast enough, you can tap into those different yield opportunities. What do you want to just kind of explain the thinking behind that?
Yes, I think the source actually come from the other day I was reading a order flow analysis report conducted by a Flashbot team. They
Right.
actually analyze like where all those order flows in the crypto are to solvers, and then to different liquidity sources. And I look at the different players they listed on the map, right? And of course, because when they are creating this report, they try to break down from different order flows, and the order flows going to different menus, to different solvers, and then to different liquidity sources. It has to be linear, otherwise the users will be confused. But when you really think about it, right, especially for those players in the middle, a lot of players are in the middle. For example, you have like aggregators, you have solvers, you have market makers. Like some of the solvers I know, they are not only solving the transactions or making profits by batching different transactions, they are also providing pricing through our API, right? They have the capability to do PMM pricing. Or some of the market makers, maybe they do a lot of DeFi arbitraging. They provide PMM pricing, but also they arbitrage against centralized exchange venues in terms to get more liquidity. So I think like in the middle, right, when users send a user transaction request to essentially where the liquidity sources used, meaning which liquidity venues are being used to settle that transaction. In the middle, it's actually a big network structure, not a linear structure, meaning you as a player, you as a provider within this ecosystem, you could be anywhere, right? You could sometimes be the one who is providing the best routing algorithm for this, or you could be the liquid provider or the pricing provider. And I think like for us, we are not trying to be the best player for any of that. Essentially, we want to serve as an even more fundamental layer of that, meaning, as I said, liquidity, you have both supply and demand side of things. And how do you make the flywheel really work is you need to really to think from both users' perspective, right? You cannot just fulfill the supply side of demand and ignore the demand side of the demand. So what we are always trying to build is we build this network structure where we get connected to as many market makers as possible, as many solvers as possible, as many aggregators as possible. And we provide this financial infrastructure, or we provide this platform where on the smart contract level, we make sure each of parties' needs are met. Here, the need for the traders is they want better pricing. The need for liquidity providers is they want high, sustainable, real yield for their assets without impermanent loss. And the need for the market makers is they want assets on chain, the usage of assets on chain at a lower cost, right? And then we build this peer-to-peer liquidity provisioning program so that it meets the three parties' need perfectly, but in a very transparent and safe way through the usage of blockchain technology, meaning we are putting all the transactions on chain. We are all putting the balance of the assets in the pool on chain. We are putting what the market makers owning us or what we own in the market makers on chain, so that essentially users will feel very safe to put assets into our liquidity pools. Yep. So coming back to the network structure is what I said. Like I don't think we can be perfectly, let's say, building the best be the best market maker, be the best solver, or be the best aggregator of any kind, because I do think that there are a lot of existing players who are very excellent in terms of building towards that direction. But we are very, very good at connecting everyone and making the opportunity available through our platform. So all those players, they can collaborate with each other. They can also compete with each other. And at the end of the day, the market efficiency is improved through any of them capturing the inefficiency alongside the transaction route.
Yeah, got it. Thank you, Meina. Look, I guess if we zoom out and maybe go just think about it, DeFi in slightly more general terms, love to get your perspectives on how you see just the wider DeFi, I guess Ethereum specifically ecosystem at the moment, because it's it's a little bit I guess it's a bit of a lull point, and it's a funny old time with Ethereum at the moment. Doesn't look like the Ethereum ETF is likely to be approved. A lot of the attention has been taken by Solana with the kind of the faster cheaper fees, and then Bitcoin doing well just with the ETF. Ethereum kind of caught in the middle a little bit. Just interested in your thoughts on where the market is at the moment, and what it will take to get the kind of the next big wave of, well, I guess retail users really to come and start dipping their toes in the DeFi waters.
I think your question actually composed a lot of like different questions. You first asked me about my takes on Ethereum, right? And versus Solana. Second is where do I see the wider adoption of DeFi? For the first question, I think, okay, I'm not a expert on like comparing different chains, but I do think Ethereum and Solana, they are the way they manage or the chain governance is very, very different, right? Day one, Ethereum says they want to build a very democratized approach for the developers, right? They wouldn't be biased towards any specific projects, but they want to make sure the way they build the ecosystem is inclusive enough so that like different parties they can compete with each other, and essentially the whole ecosystem will achieve like a very harmony balance within themselves, so they don't interfere at all. And then the ethos of Solana is day one, they said, okay, we want to provide the best user experience. We want to be fast, or we want to make sure this is ready for majority user adoption. So I do think they are competing in two directions, right? One is very, very focused on the infrastructure layer to make sure, okay, all the codes are open source, and then developers focus on the compatibility of their own projects so that the developers can build on top of each other. But Solana is more focusing on the user experience side, and I think they have been very, very successful, right? For example, for this cycle, they capture so many hot topics, meme coins, AI, right? Especially for the meme coins, you have so many meme coins launched on Solana, and retail users just aped in. So I would say if I have the capacity to build, I wouldn't put all my eggs on the same within the same basket, meaning like I wouldn't just focus on EVM compatible chains. I may also build on Solana, but because of the limitation of the engineering resources, then I still choose to build within the Ethereum ecosystem, EVM compatible, because you do have a lot more layer 2s and layer 3s try to scale Solana so that like you can actually put more, you have more throughput for different blocks. You also can return more transactions within the same seconds on Ethereum. So I do believe in the future for both Ethereum and Solana, but I already chose to build it with like EVM compatible chains, and I will continue that route. That's like as a builder's take. And then second question for DeFi. I think, I mean, I kind of have a complicated feeling about this, because I would say I do believe DeFi is not for everybody, to be honest, right? Especially for right now, how, I mean, yes, for this cycle, we do see a lot more improvement in terms of user experience, in terms of onboarding users, but how many actual real users are onboarded to the crypto space? If you compare the statistics, right? Last cycle, probably you have like transaction volume, 80% is contributed by retail users and 20% contributed by institutional users. But for this cycle, it's different. It's the opposite. 80% is actually contributed by institutional users, and 20% is contributed by retail users. So are we really onboarding more retail users? I don't think so. I think we are onboarding more airdrop hunters, bots, whatever, right? And then the actual remaining 99% of the retail users, they are where they are. They are on Robinhood. They are on Revolut, right? Several days ago, Revolut just announced, okay, they're gonna start to build the features to enable the crypto trading. I think this is a great news, right? More Web2 users, they will be having a very easy access to buy cryptocurrencies. But does that mean that when the users use Revolut to buy cryptocurrency, he is a DeFi user? No, 100% not. We can just call them like a crypto holder, right? They want to speculate the market. They want to tap into, okay, it's almost like buying a stock for them. But this is just like a different asset class. When we talk about DeFi, you actually are talking about people who read the the research paper, read the white paper. They will try all those like newer protocols, right? Try all those different mechanisms, farming the points. And I don't think we are anywhere near attracting a lot of people doing that. And to be honest, I don't want a lot of people to do that. Okay, this may be stating a very wrong way, but you just like, if you are attracting the wrong type of users to your protocol, you are introducing a lot of noise, right? For building a protocol, I think it's, especially for us, we want to attract the right type of users. Of course, I want more users to use, but I want the users to come here to use, and I want them to stay. I want them to see the true value, right? What is the actual value we are bringing to? It's the high capital utilization rate. It's the capital efficiency we are bringing them to. And I don't believe like any retail users who is not familiar with the concepts, they will be like, oh, see, I'm earning so much money through native. That's just simply would not happen within the next like 3 to 6 months. So going back to how I think about DeFi, I want to serve the current market for the DeFi users very, very well, right? No matter from the trader or liquidity provider's perspective. And I believe if we can serve them well, and then we pave the foundation to build the project longer term, then we can talk about like onboarding more retail users, educate them, but that will definitely take longer time.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right, and refreshingly honest, Meina. So thank you for sharing your thoughts there. I very much agree. Um, well, look, as we start to finish off this part of the podcast, just for those, those existing DeFi users, whether they're DeFi power users or just, DeFi users full stop, they definitely should be looking at what you guys are doing with native. So, yeah, for people listening, just tell people what is the best place for people to go to start to look at native and what they can do.
Yeah, for testing our product or looking through like what we are offering, just go directly to native.org. And if you want Twitter updates, you can follow our Twitter. The Twitter handler is native_fi. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's crypto Meina. So let's do all the listing on the screen.
Awesome. Thank you, Meina. I think what we do now then is we will finish off by running you through the very famous crypto conversation hot take round. So what I'm going to do is just kind of run some questions at you. You're a talker, so what I want you to do is give me kind of quick, snappy answers, hot take style, but there's no right or wrong way to do it. Are you ready to go?
Yes.
All right. Question one for you, Meina, is I think we know what you say, but where would you say that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
As a builder, I'm definitely on the multi-chain opportunities spectrum. And to be honest, there's no truly applications built on top of Bitcoin, including Bitcoin layer 2.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Hot takes. I love it.
I'm gonna offend a lot of people.
Next question for you, Meina. What would you say is your firmest conviction crypto opinion?
I think although the market continuously should strive for efficiency, but it's never truly efficient in crypto. So I'm super bullish on what we are building because we are capturing all those inefficiencies, and whoever are able to capture those inefficiencies will ultimately be the winners.
Yeah. Oh, very, very well said. All right. Look, Bill Gates famously said that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. As a crypto builder, you'd be very familiar with that kind of concept. But whatever you like here, DeFi, Web3, blockchain, what does it start to look like in 10 years' time?
I think this will sound a little bit pessimistic, but I will end with an optimistic view. Okay. I think within 10 years, the crypto industry will be dominated by institutions. Retail users will have less and less chance to profit from the market, just like what we have been seeing in the traditional finance market. Users right now, they are rewarded and can be rewarded by just being simply diligent, right? Doing different things the product can encourage them to do. But I think in the long run, the chances will be leaner. But the upside of things is even though the financial or the profit part may not be looking that democratized in the near term, in the long term, at least the user transparency part, the trustless part is definitely improve in the financial services within DeFi space because people get more transparency and fairness to the users. You know exactly where your assets are. The data cannot be manipulated or rewritten by any single entities. So I think as a market participant overall, the fairnessness and it has been democratized in a way.
Yeah, very, very well said. I tend to agree. Another way of thinking about this is a quote from sci-fi author William Gibson, who, of course, said that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. With that in mind, Meina, can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people aren't aware of
it? Everything can be tokenized. Yourself, your reputation, your future, your social media, but not everything needs to be tokenized. What we are really striving for here is the freedom to always have that option available and only available to ourselves.
Yeah, All right, very well said. Brings us really to almost the final question, which is, what is your favorite science fiction book, film, or TV show?
Book, I think, because I'm Chinese, I definitely gonna say Three Body
Body
Problem. Okay.
Problem.
But it's really, really a great book, right?
Yeah,
It definitely like changed my worldview. And my favorite movie would be Matrix.
yeah,
I'm a little bit old school, and I just rewatched it. It's so good.
yeah,
Think of a movie back in 1990. Wow, the concept is just great, and then all the animation part. Like if you think about the timing, how much money and how much time they spent on that movie, it's just very classic.
yeah.
And I took the red pill.
I love it. No, funny enough, Maina, I've done like 500 odd episodes of this podcast, and amazingly, the most common answer to that question is actually the three body problem. So it goes to show you, even for like a book, obviously first written in Chinese by a Chinese author, but obviously translated, it goes to show you the impact that that series of novels has had. And maybe crypto people are a little bit nerdier than the general population, and are more likely to have read it. But yeah, it's great selection. Have you watched the Netflix adaptation?
I just watched a little bit. I haven't done a long time.
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
you?
Yes, I have. It's good. I haven't read the book, but I've watched the Netflix series. Yeah,
Oh,
I really enjoyed it.
okay. Okay, we now hold like two different opinions, like one for just for the book and one for the film.
That's right.
Let me watch a little bit more and I will exchange my views on that.
All right. And final question for you, I guess, Maina, is you're a crypto podcaster yourself. Like how long I think you've been doing the podcast for a while. You're still doing that? Still having fun with the podcast?
I wish I have time. I mean, actually, I stopped doing that probably a year ago because
Right.
I think like since last year, since we launched the first product native, I really didn't have enough time to film and to edit. But I think like in the long term, let's think about 2 to 3 years. Once I have a little bit more time, I would definitely would love to re-kick up the series because I love talking to people. Humanity is fascinating.
Yeah, humanity is fascinating. Feels like a nice place to finish. Just finish off, Maina, by again telling people where they can go to look at what you and your team are building at Native, and of course, shout out your Twitter X handles and so on.
Yes, go to native.org to try out all our products, or go to X handler native_fi to check out all the most recent updates from Native, as well as our exciting marketing campaigns that we have prepared for the retail users. Or if you like my personal views, you can go to Crypto Mania, where I will be sharing all sorts of views about projects, about the market trend. Yep. And
Awesome.
thank you for listening to this podcast. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Maina. This was fun. All the best, and bye for now.
Yep. Thank you. Bye.
All right, there you go. That was Maina from Native. Very cool. Obviously, Maina, man, she can talk. She's very passionate about DeFi and what she's building. Obviously, very smart, leading the team there. Fantastic to see. And of course, what do you know? The three body problem strikes again. As I say, definitely has been the most popular choice in terms of sci-fi. So there you go. Wouldn't you know? We reached the end of another show. Thank you so much for listening, team. Please do make sure you are subscribed to the Crypto Conversation in whatever podcast app you are using. But that is it for today. Thanks for listening, team, and bye for now. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave New Coin. See ya.